An entitled Karen freaks out on me when I deliver her pizza to her house 5 minutes early, and as a result, not only did she not leave me a tip, but she also tried to get me fired by reporting me to my manager. Here's what happened. Okay, so this happened a few years ago when I was a driver for a national pizza chain. This entitled Karen calls at around 2:30 p.m. and she explains to the manager that she's having a Bible study at her house at about 3:30 and wants pizza there exactly at that time. My manager explains we can't guarantee exact times, but we can be there within a 10-minute window on either side. So the entitled Karen supposedly agrees and we take the order. Now, it turns out that she's not actually in our delivery area, but she is slightly outside of it. Normally, we would have said no, but she was a little old lady without a car and we were kind of slow, so the manager asked if I would do it. I looked up the address, I saw that it was a quarter mile out of the area, and I just said okay. If anything, the tip would cover the gas. So we take the order and the manager explains the 3:30 situation, and we agree that we'll make the order at 3 o'clock, so it will be ready at around 3:10, and I would be at the house at around 3:25, 3:30, and it was honestly looking like it was going to be perfect. And you know what? Everything works out great. No traffic, every light is green, and I get to the door right at 3:25. Well, when I get there, this 60-something-year-old Karen opens the door and scowls at me. I say to her, "Hello, ma'am, I have your pizza right here." She says to me, "Why are you here?" I look down at the delivery slip to ensure that I have the right address. I say to her, "I apologize, ma'am, is this your address?" And then I rattle off her address. She says to me, "That's my address, but you're supposed to be here at 3:30. Why are you here?" I then smile and explain the 10-minute window and how I tried to be as close to 3:30 as possible. Well, she then goes on a tirade about how she now has to reheat the pizza because I'm so early, and this is the worst customer service she's ever experienced. Now, at this point, I just apologize and ask if she still would like the pizza. She lets out a dramatic sigh, grabs exact change from the hall table, hands it to me with a scowl that would shame a devil, and I give her the pizza. When I get back to the store, the manager is hanging up the phone. The customer apparently called back to the store right after I left and chewed out the manager about the large, rude driver, who's me in this situation, who arrived too early and so the pizza was cold when her guests arrived for Bible study, who, by the way, were pulling up as I was leaving, when the manager refused to give her credit and informed her that she was not to be delivered to again for apparently calling me rude names over the phone, as well as for bragging about not tipping. This entitled Karen got irate, and she demanded corporate's number. Well, at this point, my manager was fed up, and he told her to look it up on the website. So the moral of the story is that even if you go out of your way and do a favor for and offer prompt service to some entitled Karen, they will still complain and still not tip you. Wow, talk about being overdramatic. This entitled Karen really freaked out about the original poster being 5 minutes early. Like, it was explained to her early on, especially on the phone, that there is a 10-minute window that they can reach. And you know what? The driver absolutely nailed it. They got lucky with all the lights and the traffic, and they were there 5 minutes early. And it doesn't seem like anything was missed at all. Like, as he was leaving, her stupid guests were rolling up into her driveway. So seriously, what's there to complain about? She got her pizza exactly when she wanted it. But she's pretending like this is some big offense of some kind. And you know what? I guarantee you, if he showed up at 3:35, then this lady would have lost her mind and said, "Oh wow, you're so late to my house." Like, it really seems like she just wants to like complain and give this guy a hard time. That is super obnoxious, and honestly, I'm so glad they banned her from ever ordering there again. Because I've learned that entitled Karens who act like this are just unhappy people. And if I was working at that pizza chain, I would be right there with the manager. I would never want to deal with her ever again. If you like Am I the Jerk, you're probably going to love Am I the Genius. Check it out, link down below in the description. Also, go to amithejerk.com/submit if you would like to submit your own stories. Am I the jerk for putting a lien on my brother's house and refusing to remove it until he pays me the $32,000 that he owes me? Here's what happened. Okay, to start things out, I do house renovations as a business. Even when I do work for family and friends at a discount, I have a contract. Well, my nephews are getting bigger and they want separate rooms. My brother asked me to help him finish his basement and make a couple of rooms down there, add a washroom and a kitchenette, and wire up a family room. I priced it out and I said I would charge him $32,000 including materials. And trust me, this was a sizable discount. The bathroom alone, I would charge anyone else about $15,000, and his wasn't even roughed in. Well, long story short, he never paid me. He always had excuses, and I paid for the material and I paid my guys for the work. We did it when I had downtime, so I didn't lose out on other money, but it still sucked to get shafted. So I put a construction lien on the house. He didn't care, and I wasn't gonna make him homeless. Well, this was all 2 years ago, and now that he got a new job, he has to move. And to get a new house, he has to sell his current one, which he can't do because there's a lien against the property. Well, he called me to get it removed. He promised he would pay me as soon as it was sold, but I told him absolutely not. You need to pay me right now. Well, my parents eventually called me, and they told me that they would pay what he owes. And I said I would agree so long as he paid them back, and if he didn't, then any money he didn't pay back had to come out of any inheritance we were getting, and that interest started accruing from the day of the loan. So after working out all the details, they agreed that was fair. My brother called me to scream at me for involving my parents and our inheritance, but I reminded him that he's the one that involved them and not me. He finally took money out from a line of credit and paid me with interest, which in my opinion is completely fine. I am a reasonable man. The house sold over asking price, and the finished basement suite made a huge difference on what he got. But now, even today, he is still upset at me for doing it, but I did everything legally and by the books. So honestly, am I the jerk for putting a lien on my brother's house? Because right now, my parents and his wife are not happy with me. And at this point, I seriously don't know what to do. No, you are definitely not the jerk. Like, your brother is insane for basically stealing $32,000 from you. You literally spent your time and energy making this downstairs basement exactly what he wanted. And instead of paying you, he just came up with excuses and thought, oh yeah, I'll get away with this. Like, that is crazy to me, and there is no good excuse for that. So I think the way you handle this is exactly how I would handle it. So this guy doesn't want to pay you? Okay, well fine. You can now not sell your house until I get my money back. Like, that is completely reasonable, and I think it really is smart in the long run for you and your business. And I also have to say, I love the fact that he has a contract even with family and friends. Like, it doesn't mean he's not going to do this at a discount, but he absolutely wants everything in writing. Like, that is not unreasonable, and in my opinion, that is a very smart business move. So no, of course you're not the jerk. Your brother's an idiot for trying to screw you out of that money, and in my opinion, I think you did exactly what you needed to do to get your money back. Am I the jerk for changing my first name and then keeping that a secret for nearly 5 years? Because now that I've told my parents exactly what I've done, they are so upset with me that now they're refusing to show up to my future wedding. And at this point, I seriously don't know what to do. Here's what happened. I'm a 26-year-old female, and my parents decided to name my sister and I after American states. Now, I have permission to share my sister's name, which is Arizona, and I was called Pennsylvania at birth. Yeah, my parents are really weird. I guess they thought geographical names were cool, but I think there's a huge difference between calling your child Arizona or Dakota, or even Paris versus Pennsylvania. They really love America, so maybe they just wanted to be patriotic. For as long as I can remember, everyone has called me Penn or Penny. My parents insisted, though, that everyone was to call me by my full name, but most people could see how ridiculous my parents were being. My sister, who's 28 years old, didn't struggle as much with her name, since Arizona sounds a lot better than Pennsylvania, and the Grey's Anatomy character Arizona Robbins made the name seem quite cool as we got older. Now, I was mocked and teased as a child in elementary school because of my parents' insistence on my full name. They would berate my teachers for letting me write Penny on my work or on my books. So when I was 21 years old, I got my name legally changed to Penelope. Most people I had met in college had assumed that I went by Penny as a nickname for Penelope, and even my boyfriend's mother called me Penelope because I was too embarrassed to tell her that Penny was short for Pennsylvania. I kept it all a secret from my parents and close family because I knew that my parents would go crazy and accuse me of disrespecting their choice. Well, I'm getting married this summer to my lovely boyfriend, who we will call Thomas. And as you all know, you have to say your full name in your wedding ceremony when doing your vows. I knew I had to fess up about the name change because the alternative would be hoping that they would keep quiet when they heard the name Penelope instead of Pennsylvania. I invited them over to my home, and I tried to tell them in a really calm way that I had changed my name, but they freaked out. They said that I was disrespectful and that I was calling their choice dumb, and that now they are refusing to attend the wedding. Now, I know I'm not the jerk for changing my name, but my parents are particularly upset about how I kept it hidden for 5 years before telling them. Most people I know agree with them, and they think that I should have had the courage to be honest with them years ago, so they would have had time to get used to it instead of me dropping the news on them 2 months before my wedding and causing all this drama. A few other family members have dropped out, and my poor sister, who is a maid of honor, is having a nightmare dealing with all of this. My parents believe they had the right to know much earlier. So honestly, am I the jerk for changing my name and keeping it a secret? Because right now, I seriously don't know what to do. you. No, I don't think you're the jerk at all, and honestly, I can understand why you kept it a secret. Your entire life, your parents have ruined your reputation by forcing everyone around you to call you Pennsylvania. You got bullied at school, you got made fun of, and honestly, it seems like that's kind of your parents' fault. If they had just let you put Penny down or Pen as a name, you easily could have been more comfortable with your name and at least given you some kind of autonomy over your life. Anytime you used a nickname or something other than Pennsylvania, they would come down on you hard and be like, no, use your full name. Like, that is an awful way to treat your child, especially when they want to escape a name like Pennsylvania. And yeah, I'm with the original poster. That's kind of a weird name. And I'm not trying to throw shade at anyone by the name of Pennsylvania. I'm just saying in the context, it really does seem messed up. So honestly, based on their previous behavior, keeping all of this under wraps really makes sense. They obviously have a negative reaction to anything you try to do on your own, and they're doing exactly that once again with your wedding coming up. It's almost like they love hearing that name, despite the fact that it caused you a lot of problems in your life. So no, I don't think you had any obligation to keep the name that they gave you, especially when you consider how toxic they were about that name when you were a child. Because in my opinion, it seems like there were always going to be these toxic people in your life. And I absolutely don't think there's anything wrong with changing your name to Penelope. My entitled old neighbors assume that I do nothing all day simply because I work from home. And I'm honestly so tired of these busybodies, and I seriously wish that these people would mind their own business. So I recently moved into a new neighborhood, and the neighbors on 3 sides are old, retired, and very entitled. They are generally nice people and helpful, but also incredibly presumptuous and assuming. One commonality between all of them is that they assume that since I work from home, I do literally nothing all day. In fact, one of them frequently cracks jokes about how I'm able to do whatever I want during my workday. The other day, he called to ask a question, and I happened to be able to shift my schedule to work later in the day, so I could chat for about 30 minutes. So of course, now he assumes that since I can chat for 30 minutes whenever I want, that I just don't do anything at all during my workday. The same neighbor who always talks about how the guy who lived here before us was constantly working around the yard now states that they don't see me outside nearly as often. Well, newsflash guys, I'm working 2 jobs, and my wife works an additional job, and I'm trying to take on a 3rd side project. We effectively work 4 jobs between 2 people, all while raising 3 teenagers, mind you. And what were the folks who lived here before us doing? It was a retired guy and his wife who never had a job. So it's pretty obvious why they had time to just wander around the yard all day, every day. Another neighbor calls me yesterday to tell me something, and he first asked me if he woke me up. But mind you, it's 9 o'clock in the morning. I tell him that I've been up working since about 5:15 in the morning, and when I tell him that, he quickly changes the topic. The same neighbor also assumed that we were rich kids from out of state that had our house gifted to us, when in reality, we spent almost 20 years in a shoebox on the other side of town, also we could save up and move into our dream home. But apparently, we're just lazy kids who are entitled, who simply don't want to work these days, right? Where we lived before, we were mostly in a low-income housing neighborhood with other people around our age, so we never really encountered any of this. But these entitled, old, retired people, they've been wrong about every single assumption. The neighbors the original poster is dealing with is the classic case of people who just need to mind their own business. Like seriously, why are they so obsessed with what you do all day? Like, is it seriously that strange of an idea that someone would work from home? Like, we all went through COVID, right? A lot of people left the office and went home to work. So it's just really weird for anyone to be like, oh wow, I must have woken you up at 9 o'clock in the morning because you do nothing all day. But in reality, you've been up since 5 in the morning. It's not like you're doing nothing all day, like you have stuff that you need to do. And for them to assume that you just had your house gifted to you, that in my opinion would really upset me. That is just straight up insulting. I mean, God forbid anyone save up for a house that is already like overpriced nowadays, let alone move into said house and try to mind your own business. So honestly, good for you for the way you're handling this, because it seems like these people are always trying to take shots at you and your employment. And hopefully one day you can find yourself with better neighbors. Am I the jerk for not getting upset when I was uninvited to my friend's wedding? Because after being treated like garbage by my friend's fiancé, as well as her claiming that I'm just trying to steal away her future husband, I have now stepped away and decided that I will not be attending this wedding. And now, as a result, things are very tense in my friend group, and at this point, I seriously don't know what to do. Here's what happened. Okay, so this happened over the weekend, but there is still so much tension going on. One of my good friends by the name of Matthew is getting married next month to a woman we will call Jennifer. Matthew and Jennifer are not their real names. Now, I'm a 25-year-old female, and I have known Matthew ever since high school. We've both connected when it came to video games, especially when we would play Minecraft. Matthew has had his fair share of girlfriends over the years, but when he met Jennifer 3 years ago, he said that he knew she was the one, and they are madly in love with each other, and I'm honestly so happy for the both of them. Last year, Matthew popped the question to Jennifer, and she said yes, but Jennifer's demeanor towards me drastically changed after the engagement. She was distant towards me, and she wouldn't even look at me, and she would hardly speak to me, which was really weird, since Jennifer was always so sweet and nice towards me. I would still talk to Matthew and meet with him and our group of friends, and sometimes Jennifer would be there, and she would still act cold and not speak to me much at all. So as a result, I kept my distance from Jennifer. Fast forward, and 3 months ago, we all received a save the date invitation, and their wedding is going to take place at Matthew's cabin 2 hours away, and they were going to keep it small due to the size of the cabin. So we were only allowed to bring one guest with us. And it was right then that Jennifer acted extremely harsh and hostile towards me. She said to me, "I bet you don't have a +1 since you are so into my man." And when she said that, I was taken back. I asked her what in the world she was talking about, and she smirked at me and said, "Oh, I know what's going on. You don't need to act stupid around me." Well, I just ignored her remark, and I told her my boyfriend was coming with me. Well, when I said that, she looked surprised, and then eventually she left. Now, I of course told Matthew about what Jennifer said to me, and he was not happy, so he made her apologize to me. Then, last weekend, I was invited by Matthew's sister to go dress shopping with her and Jennifer, and I declined at first because I wanted to keep my distance from Jennifer, but Matthew's sister assured me that she will deal with Jennifer and that our other friends will be there with us. So we go dress shopping, and I found a beautiful dress that I thought would be perfect, so I took a picture and sent it to my boyfriend since he planned on matching with me by getting the right color bow tie. I tried the dress on and it was a perfect fit, so I guess I just got lucky. But Jennifer was angry. She called me horrible names, claiming that I'm trying to steal her boyfriend and that I was officially uninvited from the wedding. In fact, she caused such a commotion that the employee of the store asked us to leave. I told Jennifer that I didn't want to come to the wedding anyways, but I was going to because my friend was getting married. I told her if she didn't want me at the wedding, fine. I don't care since I won't go to a wedding if the bride is going to be so rude to me. Well, Matthew and our friends found out, and I was getting text messages left and right begging me to just come to the wedding. But I told them I was happy to get uninvited, and I'll just spend the day with my boyfriend on the day of the wedding instead. But now they're all mad at me for not fighting hard enough. So honestly, am I the jerk in this situation? Because right now, I seriously don't know what to do. Before we go any further, the original poster has an update. Here's what they had to say. Okay, so my decision is officially final. I will not be going to the wedding, and there is no changing my mind about it. And instead, I will be sending a wedding gift to Matthew the day prior. I told Matthew and all my friends that I won't be going, and they simply cannot convince me otherwise. But Matthew also called me and asked if we can talk somewhere else. And I agreed to do this, but it was only so I could tell him in person so that he would know how serious I'm being. Fast forward, and when I met up with Matthew, I brought my boyfriend along with me. And of course, he begged me to come to the wedding, and he said he would beg Jennifer to let me attend. But I told him it's best if I wasn't there. I told Matthew that Jennifer has a problem with me. Period. End of story. He said that he doesn't understand, and he did ask her many times, but Jennifer would continue to say that she was stressed out. At this point, I got angry, and I said that is absolute BS, and he knows that. My boyfriend also intervened and said to Matthew that he needs to wake up and realize that Jennifer is crazy, and that he can't keep defending her actions. Matthew said that he loves her too much and doesn't want to lose her. Well, my boyfriend and I got up and told Matthew to let us know when he has a backbone. In the meantime, it's best that we just don't talk. I messaged all of our friends in the group to let them know I'm keeping my distance from Matthew because of Jennifer. He is still going to be my friend, but at an arm's length. I will still be sending him a gift regardless, but I'm keeping my distance from Matthew. And it seems like he's in denial and can't comprehend what's going on at all. And ever since he was in high school, he would have a sense of denial, and he's doing that right now. And the weirdest thing about all of this is that Jennifer is nice to all of Matthew's female friends, but just not me. And I've also gotten a message from 2 of our friends saying that they've dropped out of attending the wedding, all because of Jennifer and the way she's acting. So thankfully, I have somebody on my side, especially when I consider how crazy Jennifer's acting. Yeah, Jennifer sounds incredibly unhinged, and the fact that Matthew is in denial about that is really not good. Like, she is literally coming after the original poster as if the original poster is coming after Matthew and trying to steal him away. Like, that is some weird level of jealousy that I just don't think is normal. I think having some semblance of like healthy skepticism is always good, but for her to act like this, in my opinion, is completely insane. There's no justifying her actions, and the fact that Matthew would even begin to try and back her up is really a red flag for the both of them. Like, where does this line in the sand begin and end? Is he gonna act like this anytime she's just blatantly in the wrong? Because that sounds like an awful situation as well. Like, can you imagine dealing with that, where Jennifer's saying some like outlandish stuff, and Matthew sitting on the sideline being like, oh, I just don't understand why people are mad at her. She's not doing anything wrong. Like, it sounds like he's marrying someone who is completely two-faced, and he really needs to address that now instead of after they get married. So truly, with all things considered, I don't blame you at all for stepping out of this wedding. If I was in your shoes, I would have done the exact same thing. Because in my opinion, if someone treats you like garbage, and they treat you like you're a problem in their life, then I think it's important for you to believe them and move on. And when it comes to Jennifer and Matthew, it really seems like this is the case. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist at the top of the description. And if you want some chill music to put on in the background, check out easymode.com. If you like Am I the Jerk, subscribe to Am I the Genius. Everything will be linked down below in the description.